So we've practiced drawing the outlines of a stack of blocks. Now we're going to draw another stack of blocks but add value. I think I want to put them getting bigger. There we go. One, two, three, four, five. All right, here we go. This gets skinnier as it goes up. The others to the side. So again, I'm going to start with the outlines and turn it at an angle so I can see two sides of each block. If I can see two sides, I cannot see the other sides. I'm going to start with the bottom one, and this time it starts at a diagonal. So I make more of a parallelogram than a rectangle. But I'm going to make the up and down lines need to be up and down like the sides of my paper because the building is still standing upright. And then this one comes back. These two lines are parallel. This is parallel to this. And although there could be things that block it, I can see this part way back. So I'm going to draw this. This one needs to be parallel to those. I can take this and kind of slide it across to make sure. Whoops, needs to be a little bit more like that. And this goes there. Now I'm going to do my tall cylinder. I got started and thought, that's not going to land on my blocks. So I've got the tall lines. Notice I use sketchy lines. My eye can connect later. I'm going to draw the oval part here. And then I'm going to make a matching curve here that goes around to be a full oval. Then I've got the smaller one on top. So again, I've got the two parallel lines. I've got the bottom part of the oval and the part that goes all the way around. These will be inside. I can leave them for the moment or erase them later. Now I have this other block. It's kind of near the front here. It doesn't go all the way over, and it doesn't come all the way to here. So it goes like that. And this line is going to be parallel again, so I can kind of slide this up to help me see where to draw that. And then I'm going to draw from here up and from here up. This needs to be parallel, so I can take my pencil, if it helps, and slide it up here. Notice I don't really trace it, I just kind of use it to guide my eye. There's that one. This goes straight up. And I'm going to take that, and it goes here. Connect this the rest of the way. It's actually blocked by the triangle, so it's there, but I'll have to erase it in a minute. Here's my triangle. And then this, same-ish diagonal line because they're lined up perfectly. And here. And from the angle I am, I can't really see the part that's over there. Now, I need to think where, looks like my triangle's a little wonky. I'm going to try that a little bit straighter. It'll be easier for me if I turn that way. There we go. This was also not very straight. There we go. Okay. This is on the ends. I can't see because the triangle blocks it, so I can erase it. This I can't see because the block is on it and hides it. Again, I don't see that. Or this. So now I have my stack of blocks. Looks like that triangle got really big, didn't it? I can erase it, or I can just say, oh yeah, it's got a really wide roof on this particular block stack. All right, so now I'm going to decide where is my light source. So I could take my phone and think about, do I want my light source coming from the front, from the side, from the back? I always think it's a little easier if the light source is coming more from the side. And I kind of like it this direction. So I'm gonna just make some quick notes. Like this will be light and light and light. The dark side would be here, so this will be medium. This is light, but I can see a shadow from here. So I'm gonna kind of draw where I see my shadow, and I'm gonna make this one be dark because of the shadow. The shadow comes across here, and this is like medium dark, and this is medium. The top of here is light because my light is coming from above. This is kind of medium, and this one is more medium dark. I can look and see if I see anything else I want to make a note of. This part is definitely light. This is like very light. I'm going to put a V for very light. And this goes around and gets to be dark with a medium bit in here, medium dark. Just making some notes for myself. I can turn my light back on if I want to later, but for now I'm going to turn it off. If you have a desk lamp you're using, you could just leave it on there. All right, now I never just leave light things totally paper light. I'm going to make sure that I erase the letters so they don't show up, but I'm going to start with, this one actually was more medium. This was the medium dark. This was the darkest here. I'm going to start this kind of darker area all the way to the edges. And with flat sides, then I make sure that I do it all one value. Rounded things, I use the gradation where it flows. It's nice to use a dull pencil. Use the sides of your pencil, especially on these big flat areas. This was a little bit darker than this, so I'm going to push a little bit darker. I can come back in and add some of the crisp edges in a minute. So this area should look darker than here and lighter than here, which means I'll probably need to add more to there because they're looking pretty similar at this time. Erase my medium here. I don't want to see a harsh line and outline there. It just is a shadow line, not an outline. It's not the difference between two different blocks, just the shadow. In here will be light. Oh, I didn't erase my L. I have to do that quick because it's showing up right through my value. While I'm here, I'm going to make this darker. Make this light. Don't forget to erase my letter so it doesn't show through. I think it's a little easier to make a light when I use the tip of my pencil because I can control how light it is a little bit better. It looks like I want to go back on here. Make this just a teeny bit darker than my light area. This whole thing needs to be just a bit darker to be different than my light area. And fill in some spots. And then this a little bit darker too. All right, now I'm gonna do light on here. Might want to go back later and see if there's a shadow there. It seems likely that I missed noticing a shadow because the light was coming this way and this would have cast a shadow. So that's something I'll go back and look at. I can keep this outline here. It helps even though they're both light to show that they are different blocks. Okay, this is going to be the medium. Notice I kind of keep my pencil going the same way as the diagonal lines. It shows sort of that same direction that way. This is medium. Notice I can move my paper. Erase the letters. Medium, dark. So it's darker than this and darker than this. It's more like this. All the way. The tricky part is when your pencil gets so it doesn't write anymore and you want a dull pencil not to over sharpen and make a sharp pencil. Sharp pencils will leave grooves in your paper and don't erase well, and they don't make as dark a value when you try to do it. So sometimes I'll just go find another dull pencil, save the sharp for when I need a sharp pencil. When it gets dull, save it for when I want a dull pencil. Okay, so these look a lot the same. So I'm going back on this and I'm making it darker so it's darker than that. In a pinch, I can erase that a little bit because it's a pretty big difference between my light and medium. Got to even it back out though. There we go. Especially want to make those edges very crisp. Like right here. And you make that edge a little crisper. And there you can tell, oh yeah, that's a difference in value, much better. I'm going to go right along the top of my block and make sure that edge is nice and crisp. And go along the edge of the block and make sure it's crisp. Anywhere I see that's kind of got some whitish area peeking through. All right, so those are my flat sides. Now I'm going to erase up here. And it says very light at the tops, so I'm not even going to do that yet. But here, I'm going to be doing curvy lines. And so I find it easier to go this way. I know my light's here. I'm going to just lightly come across the whole way. Very lightly with the curvy lines to show the curve of that cylinder. All the way up. All right, then I'm going to come back and I'm not going to go quite as far. I'm going to do a little bit harder to get some medium in there. And I'm layering, filling in some of those white areas as I go. I'm doing it pretty close together, so there's not much white between, not much paper showing. I don't want it to look like a big stripy line, so I don't want to go this direction. And then I'm going to come back with shorter curvy lines. You get it darker. And then right along this edge, you make sure it's crisp and it's very dark and there's no white showing. And then I'll come back and add some more curvy lines. Now to help blend them so I don't see like stripes, I'm just going to take my finger and rub just a bit. And I can kind of go on top and add just some more really light lines. It'll layer and it kind of just blends them all back together and makes it a little less stripy. Okay, up at the very top I want it very light, so if I have a little smudge on my finger, I can just take that little bit of smudge from my finger and go on there. It's a little bit darker here, but not a lot, so I'll just put just a teeny bit right there to show it's round. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here. Light curvy lines. all the way up. Making these lines curve really is what makes it look like a cylinder instead of like a tall straight block. If you do straight lines, it just looks like a straight block. Notice again, because it's a curvy form, then the light wraps around it instead of just hitting one plane and being all the same value. Go back and add my medium. All the way up. It's a bigger block, it takes a little bit more time. And when I decide to rush, I miss spots. And then my dark, pushing harder, shorter line, curvy lines. Might even just get my crisp edge in there so that when I add the curvy lines on top, it's smoothing out that it doesn't look like it has a stripe there, because also helps me know where to start my pencil. You can see this one still needs a little bit more work. It's starting to look cylindrical, but it doesn't look as good as that one yet. So I just take some more time. If I were not doing a demo, I would probably take at least twice as much time on every step and get it a little bit neater. And that's partly because I really enjoy this process. But if you're thinking, I just want to get this done, be sure you're still neat. You can make it a little bit lighter as I go up because the light source was at the top. It was a little lighter overall as it went up. The bottom of the whole tower was a little bit darker. I could take my finger and do some blending. The other thing this does is it makes sure that if there are any white paper places showing, they get a little bit of graphite into their background. And you can see that starts to really help. Some places here where my medium wasn't quite enough, and go back and add them with a curvy line. Get some little bit more dark going back and forth here so it blends in. And now it really starts to look a little smoother, a little neater. Up here I need light. I'm just going to use a smudge from my hand to get the top of this oval. A little bit more over on this side. Looks like this part came up a little too high. Got a little smudge up here, erase that. I wanted to come back and look at this. I'm going to turn on my camera. Flashlight. Oh, actually it looks pretty good because I had it slightly this way. That was still pretty light, so I'll turn that off. Phone doesn't always notice my hand very well, and just make this pretty similar to what I have over here. There's a little bit of a shadow here, just a little bit. It's a little darker right as it was behind there, so I'll make it a little darker to make it different than that. All right, there we go. A stack of blocks with value. Have fun.